Good morning, everybody, and happy Motivation Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend and that you are ready now for fall. I was talking with some friends who live in Chicago who are actually agents with us here, and they said that you can really start feeling the fall color, or the fall air, I guess, is starting to happen. I live in San Diego, for those of you that don't know, and October is actually our hottest month. So for me, it's kind of weird thinking that, people are starting to get ready for those long coats and, all the pumpkin spice things are coming out and it's prime beach weather here. But, to each their own, I guess. So today we're going to be talking about really getting ready for open enrollment. We know we have about a month, unless you're doing the Medicare one, which is coming up in about 12 days there. So we're getting ready for open enrollment, and what's important in open enrollment is cross-selling. So making sure that, we are going to maximize every sale opportunity as much as possible. So I thought we'd start with a pretty good quote here. So the reason it seems that price is all your customers care about is that you haven't given them anything else to care about. Really, really accurate there as far as it goes with cross-selling. A lot of people don't build enough value into the cross-sell, which is why clients say no. Agents feel like they get burned and then they just quit proposing the cross-sell. So today, hopefully I'll be able to give you a few quick hints here that's going to help increase your cross-sell. So happy Motivation Monday, everyone. I see a few new people on the call, so I'm going to quickly go over kind of the layout for these. So our goal behind Motivation Monday, it's going to be a quick, 20, 30-minute phone conversation here where we go through and we pound out as much information as much as possible and really get you ready for the week. It starts with tip of the week, so we'll go over something just quick, useful information. We'll go over AHCP trends, so what agents are selling out there. We'll give a shout out to our sales leaders, which we have a few on the phone here. And then also we'll go over the sales technique, which is really working on our cross-sell there. So to start out, the tip of the week for last week is just letting you know about the NHIC and TIC conversion that goes together there with your QuoteNatGen quoting platform, and that everything now is a yes or no answer. So all those time insurance company or assurance products that were previously underwritten change from, underwritten where they're going to go through and dig through the client's history to just yes or no questions. So you find out right at the end if your client is approved or not. This week's tip of the week, as far as it goes, is a pretty easy one. Everybody just kept asking me last week, hey, you know what? I want to go through these old webinars that we've been going through. And I also got a lot of questions about the webinars that we host. Where are they? They are in the sales section at ahcpsales.com. So take a look, you'll click in there, you'll see the layout of all the different webinars that we've gone through. Click on them, go through, feel free to watch them. You have a little more time right now at the beginning of the month. I will tell you in about 12 days, we're going to be ridiculously busy. That's just how it works in our business. So if there's anything you want to cover before open enrollment, feel free to reach out and do it now. And now to take a look at the trends. So as far as it goes, it was a pretty good sales week last week. We had a huge increase in major medical. As far as it goes, Molina was really leading the way, so that was kind of a nice one to see. We were steady in short term, so that's probably what's going to be happening, at least if it's been anything like the last few years. Major medical is going to start growing right now. Short terms are going to be going steady, and then it's going to fall off. Now, one of the things that I know a lot of agents are looking at is seeing if short terms are going to be a better suitable fit for their customers this open enrollment. Because of how much short terms cost and how cheap the penalty is, sometimes it's actually better for clients to buy the short term, pay the penalty, than pay, $1,200 a month for a major medical. But always do what's in the client's best needs, right? Always sell them the most comprehensive product possible. A pretty good increase there in accident. So we had National General, the AHCP there, that was a pretty good one, and then also VBA we sold quite a bit. Critical illness studied off there with CBL, so Colorado's Bankers Life, and we had a monstrous increase in dental. And I'd expect dental to grow and keep on growing now with us coming up to open enrollment. I'll tell you with dental, almost every week it seems like we've been doubling our sales numbers, so it's really great. I will tell you again over and over and over, we keep hitting it. It helps with retention, and it's an easy add-on to do. So it's one of those easy cross-sell products. If you're really trying to hit your 2-to-1 ratio, which is something we'll talk about in a second there, dental's a really easy one to knock out. So pretty good growth as far as it goes just in raw sales numbers. We all know what's going to happen here coming up is that everything's just going to be blown out of the water and it's going to go a little crazy. So Take a look at the sales sales shoutouts here. This is for the top producer. So for the gold, as far as it goes with short-term medical, because we're doing short-term medical and our ancillary products. Soon we'll start doing the major medicals again. We have Brian Jarvitz with NHIC short-term, just absolutely knocked it out of the park. Susan Natalie with Golden Rule short-term. And then with bronze here, we have Jacob Gordon. So a huge shout out to you guys. You did absolutely awesome. With the ancillary, Brian Jarvitz again. I mean, honestly, guys, someone needs to start catching up. He's doing a really good job making sure that with all of his short-term products that he's selling, he actually does CBL with it, so Colorado's Bankers Life. So he does that. Susan also took silver with Golden Rule Accident, and then we had David Michael Taxer in bronze there for CBL critical illness. So good, huge shout out to you guys. You're killing it. Keep up the good work. Make sure that you're really doing those ancillaries as far as it goes when we get closer to open enrollment. So today's sales technique that we're going to talk about is really cross-selling, and keep in mind our goal behind these Monday motivation calls is to be quick for you guys, because you know what, time is money, so we can be quick, we can be off the phone, and you can get back to selling. But so we wanted to start with some cross-selling. Just a few quick minutes here on this. So this year it's going to be dire as far as it goes with the way the major medical market works, with how commissions went last year. You know, halfway through, half the major medical carriers quit paying commissions. So what it is really the major medical policy is the driver for the sales process, but the ancillaries are really where you're going to get paid. So we know volume is going to be up coming up here, so we really need to maximize each sale opportunity. Last year I had a few agents sit there and try to just close their major medicals and go long afterwards and really clean up their ancillary sales, so really get those accidents and the critical illnesses. Kind of a bad idea, I get it, but if you're not really making a lot of money off the major medical, make sure you're going to stick through the wholesale as far as it goes with the ancillary products. So one of the biggest things that reason to cross-sell right now is, if you haven't taken a look, those major medical plans, those deductibles keep growing, and they're really leaving your clients exposed. It says less than 50% of the US has $1,000 in their bank account. So how are they going to pay for $7,150 this year if something happens? They're not. If you're letting your client walk away with that $7,150 total exposure, their max out of pocket, you're doing a huge disservice to your client. You really need to make sure that you're going to cover every angle as much as possible. It's something we'll talk about in a second there. It really also helps puts the control of healthcare costs back into the consumer's hands. You know, right now with how it's going, you know, that big $7,150, big things happen, they lose control. You know, they lose control of everything in their life. If you can just help them with a quick accident product, a quick critical illness product, when these things happen, they're going to have the support. You know, you're going to be the ones that are going to be thanked. If you know that accident products are the #1 ancillary products used and claims filed on, why would you not attach it to a policy? They're so inexpensive. This is one of those things that just has to happen. One of the things that you should always think about too is when you're on the phone with somebody, if you want to make sure that you're going to be getting really decent paychecks for every major medical or short term that you sell, you should have 2 ancillary products attached to it every time. But really, how are you going to do is what we'll talk about today. One of the biggest things and the easiest things to do right away is to make sure your consumer is educated. Consumers will drop or not buy products that they don't understand. So it's really going to be, how does their plans work? So, you know, why do they want this help? What is needed? Why do they actually care? In my industry, it's called a WIFM. What's in it for them? You know, why do they care? You need to be able to paint that picture, you know, educate them on the pain that could happen if they don't have this. And it's also really important right now because it's going to increase your own personal earnings and make sure you really have some great vacations next year. I mean, the biggest one overall is, if this is how we're going to make money, we have to make sure we're doing it right. So let's jump into some techniques here. So we know open enrollment is coming. And kind of one of the biggest things about open enrollment is that with every sale, we really need to be quick and to the point. You need to be able to make those sales turnovers happen really quick. So one of the biggest things about being quick and to the point is that you have to be able to know your products. You have to be educated on your products and how to explain them more efficiently. You have the time right now to be able to sit down and write yourself your own sales scripts. And if you need any help with that, please let me know. This is huge. That way that you can think of a clear way now on how you're going to explain an accident or critical illness product before open enrollment. If it's one of those things that you need to think about, how do you explain how an accident products work? How do you explain when the big what if happens? How do you explain when little Johnny decides that he's Superman and jumps down the stairs? Those things happen. My best friend's kid loves to do that kind of stuff. Just a hobby is getting injured. Make sure to be able to tell that story and know how to explain how that product's going to work and how it's going to help them. You need to also be able to know, when would you sell an accident medical expense over an accident fixed benefit? I mean, if you haven't started thinking about those things and creating your own little sales scripts that will help you be quick and to the point, you're falling behind the ball. You also need to know how they're going to work specifically with major medical plans, since that's what a lot of consumers are going to be calling about. Yes, we know how the products work as a standalone, but how do they work with the major medical plan? You can go through and take a look at a lot of the brochures that are out there under the products at AHCP sales. They have kind of a breakdown of how it works if the worst happens. Print those out, have those available, save them as a PDF if you do over the phone sales, so you can pull them up and walk through a situation with a client. Also, your system setup. You have to be organized and you have to have your system set up. I know with ancillary, what a lot of things that agents say is, it's really hard because I'm doing major medical on one screen here. I'm going to be jumping over to another website to be doing an ancillary, and if I want to sell, a dental product, like let's say through StarMount, I have to jump over to another screen. Having everything in one spot can be really, really helpful. As much as possible, knowing where all your system links are, knowing where all your passwords are, get that up and running right now. I know here at AHCP we do have access to some really great technology that can actually put all of the quoting platforms in one specific platform. It's called Agent Cube. Tammy actually specializes in that. If you're interested in learning more, shout out after this Monday motivation call, and I'll make sure she reaches out to you. I had quite a bit of people ask about it last week. So just as we get up and running, if you want to learn more about it, let me know. And also, don't burn bridges. The biggest thing right away is leave opportunity for sales in the future. I know a lot of people, hey, if you're not interested right now, get the heck off my phone, click. Not the goal. Not the goal at all. So you need to make sure you have your scripts out ready so you can get quick and to the point, that you're educated on the products, know how they work, get your system set up, and work with those sales opportunities in the future. So a few quick hints on the beginning of your call. Make sure that they're aware that they are going to be cross-sold. People don't like to be kind of hit blindsided. So when you're setting the appointment or starting the conversation, even before you're presenting, just let them know what you're going to be doing. Let them know that when they meet with you, you're going to take a look at all their health insurance needs, make sure they're covered for everything that could happen. Remember, when people are buying individual insurance, they're usually accustomed to having group products, which comes with all types of insurance. So let them know that you're going to take a look and build a full insurance package for them. Again, so group usually has accident, critical illness, AD&D, dental, life, all these things that you need to add for them. Major medical insurance, it's basically like a short term now. Every 12 months, people go through and shop and have to renew. So you can go through and remake that package for them the whole time, but let them know at the beginning of the call that, what you're going to do is you're going to take a look at the full insurance package or a full insurance bundle for them, depending on what state you're in and how you can say it. That's a really important thing. Let them know. A lot of them will say, hey, I'm just looking at health insurance. Like, I completely understand, but what I'm going to do is make sure that you are fully covered. So kind of think about it as a car. If you're only going to be insuring just the body of the car, what happens if the tires blow out? The car still doesn't work. Same concept with health insurance here. And also at fact finding, this is all at the beginning of it. Make sure that you're digging for their insurance needs. How often do they go to the doctor? Maybe time insurance company Amy with sickness would be a good thing. Maybe the mom has thyroid issues, so they're kind of worried about illnesses. Add in critical illness. If they have children, always make sure to add an accident. But you need to add questions into fact finding to kind of pry for these things. And again, everybody has teeth, which is why dental is so dang useful. At the plan presentation as well, this is really important. You need to blend the products in to let them know how they work. You need to be able to paint a picture and tell the story. You'll let them know at the end that they're separate products when you're giving them all the different product numbers, but you need to blend it in with a presentation. So when you're describing the plan, you go through the short-term or the major medical and how that works with the total exposure. Then, you get into the accidents. So, I mentioned you have a $5,000 deductible, but if you get in an accident for some reason, this package has a $5,000 accident coverage. So your deductible in the case of an accident will go from $5,000 all the way down to $250. Sounds pretty great, right? Also, if you're diagnosed with cancer, like you said, you're kind of worried about, or have a heart attack or stroke, you get a lump sum benefit of $75,000 to pay for those medical bills, mortgages, anything you want. And this package also comes with a fixed dental product. And how that works is, and so it's just kind of blended in all together. So it's, hey, you know what? Here's your total exposure, but if that happens, this is how your accident product would work. If that accident's not what you're worried about, critical illness, this is how that works. So they all tie together, kind of how the package works. So you need to kind of blend it with the presentation instead of saying, okay, so I've also separately attached this accident product. I'm going to specifically walk through all the details and the exclusions with you. Next, I'm going to walk through the cancer. No, people don't care. Honestly, they're not going to remember what you're saying. As long as they can walk away with the brochures and their product numbers, they are good to go. Just blend it. Make sure it all works together. One thing, too, is when I get a lot of resistance, I use the line, other people who bought this short-term product also bought, or other people who bought this major medical product also bought. People never want to feel excluded, and this is huge with cross-selling. Saying, other people bought this and they didn't makes them feel uncomfortable, makes them feel excluded, and gives them that thought in their head that they need to buy it as well. But make sure when you're saying other people bought this, tell stories. Have it how a client has used it. If you don't have those stories, start thinking about them or reading them online. You need to have these stories there so people have a reason to actually buy it. Another thing too, which is a really common mistake, is never raise the price. Find the package that fits. Sell the most comprehensive package as possible. You have to get creative. One of the things is, the clients call up saying, hey, I'm worried about my deductible. Well, unless they're going to the doctor for routine things where it actually accrues slowly into the deductible, if they're really worried more about the big what if, you'd be way better actually raising their total exposure and attaching an accident and a critical illness policy. Flat out, that's going to help a lot more, because what's the reason they're going to actually use their deductible? When the big what if happens. And those are usually accidents and critical illnesses. Instead of trying to, hey, just get them the lowest deductible possible, not good. You're not helping the client. Don't raise the price, make the package fit. So take a look at all the different carriers we have here at AHCP. If you haven't started getting contracted with those carriers, do it now. A lot of them are going to get just way too many people on board here, and they're not going to be able to get you appointed in time. Just flat out. So here's some fun quick takeaways. If you do face-to-face sales, or even if it's one of those things you want to attach it into your signature, I had an agent do this. They made a sheet. They weren't appointed with a ton of carriers, so this is kind of how it worked. They made a sheet of everything that they offered. When they were meeting with people face-to-face, they could just lay it down, and then they could actually go through and pick things together. That was for the clients that, were kind of more of a control freak over the sales process. Really helped increase her, just her cross-sell, because, hey, we have these dental products. Here's the 2 dental products I offer. I have these 3 accident products. I have 1 critical illness product. I have a cancer, heart, stroke product. And they could just go through and do it together. So it's kind of like a sell sheet. They just had everything laid out as far as it goes. It worked pretty great. The agent last year offered to do free policy reviews for gaps. When they were talking to clients say, hey, I already bought it. I'm like, well, what part of my job is here? I do free policy reviews for my clients to see if there's any gaps in their insurance coverage. So they're not looking to change their major medical plan, but what they would do is they just rocked the ancillary products. They just hauled them in. So that's a pretty good one to do. Another agent as well who literally just went through the brochures and stole some of the pictures off of it and wrote up little examples next to it. So what they would do is they'd actually do a screen share with the client, pop up this example, and talk about the product and how it worked. Really, really easy to do. These 3 things are all things that my agents did last year. Increase their cross-sell by a ton. So take some of those away. If you can take one thing, this call is definitely worth your time. Another few things. If you're talking to previous customers or even people who've already bought, ask them how their dental is, or ask them how their blank product is. Usually because you know that they don't have it. It's going to open up a conversation, well, I don't have dental. Okay, well, what I can do here is I can actually help you with your dental insurance needs. That's what I had one agent do who was ridiculously successful. When I first heard it, I'm like, that sounds really awkward, until I asked him to send me a few of his calls for it, and it worked wonderful. So how's your dental? So try it. It works great. It's a small thing, small little tweak you can do to your sales process. If it opens up the door and starts a conversation, that's pretty great. Go over last year's policy. Ask them to send you last year's policy. If they're one of your clients, you know where to pull that up. And you can go through and kind of compare it to what's going on. That'll be a pretty good way to start a conversation with you. I mean, with major medical policies, it's basically like a 12-month short term. They term at the end of December, and they have to have a new policy every year, just like a short term. So start treating them like a short term mentally and the way you're selling them. Also compare the products with them. If it's one of those things where you have a client who's kind of unsure about things, go through the differences in the two accident products, but don't overcomplicate the situation. That's one of the big things with cross-selling is you just need to keep it simple with them. So if they're sitting there, I'm not too sure about the product, well, this is the other one that I offer. Let's go through it together. So compare just two. If you ever go over two, you're really going to overcomplicate the situation. I'm not sure about the critical illness. Well, here's another critical illness I have through Colorado's Bankers Life. So previous customers, you can ask them how their dental is, offer to go over last year's policy, and compare the products with them if they're kind of unsure. And I think the biggest thing, honestly, my biggest hint is just add it. Honestly, just add it. I'd have an agent after they go through, this was kind of screwy, go through, do the whole sales process, and would literally just say, hey, you know what I can do is I can add dental on that for $15 a month. How does that sound? And that was just goofy enough to work, and he sells dental, still does it to this day actually, and it works really great for him. Biggest hint is just add it. 90% of agents who at least add dental see a 50% increase in their ancillary product sales in the first 2 weeks. So just add it. What's the worst that happens? You get a no. We're in sales. We can take no as gracious as a yes. We just can't take a maybe. So biggest thing about cross-selling is just add it. So if you have any questions, you want to learn more about Agent Cubed, you want to see if there's any scripts out there as far as products go, or you want some help with product brochures or pictures, feel free to reach out to us here at training@ahcpsales.com. We're here to make sure that you are as successful as possible. Also, if you have a question, guaranteed about 15 other people do, so don't be shy about it. As far as it goes as well, I thought we'd end here with a pretty good quote, so here's a simple but powerful rule. Always give people more than they're expected to get. That is what you're doing when you sell them an ancillary product. You are making sure that they are not exposed, and you are giving them more than they are expected to get. Well, again, if you need anything, feel free to reach out here at training@ahcpsales.com. Tammy or myself will get back to you as quick as possible. Other than that, I hope you were able to walk away with at least one thing today to help increase your cross-sell with open enrollment and how to get ready for that. I want everybody to have a good week, and I will talk to you guys next Monday. Happy Motivation Monday, everyone.